A single decision can ignite a chain reaction that shakes the ground beneath millions of people. That is exactly what happens when policies are introduced that don't just touch lives, but rip through them like a storm. Families who built their futures brick by brick suddenly feel the walls tremble. Children born with the hope of limitless possibilities suddenly face the fear of being uprooted from the only place they've ever called home. This is not just about rules and regulations. It's about the human spirit colliding with the weight of power. Every visa, every permit, every opportunity wasn't just a document, it was a lifeline to dreams, to careers, to futures that were painstakingly created. And when the foundations of those lifelines are threatened, the impact is seismic. It's not only the individuals who suffer, it's the businesses, the communities, the very fabric of America that feels the aftershock. Think about it, the doctors saving lives in hospitals, the engineers driving innovation in Silicon Valley, the educators shaping the next generation, the entrepreneurs creating jobs. Their contributions cannot be measured in paper or policy. And yet, in one sweeping decision, their place in this land becomes uncertain. That uncertainty doesn't just belong to them. It spreads like wildfire through every community, sparking fear, doubt, and a sense of betrayal. But here's the truth. Every shockwave has two sides. One side is destruction, the other side is awakening. Pressure doesn't just break people, it also creates diamonds. This is a moment that tests resilience. It asks, will fear dictate the future, or will courage carve a new path? The ground may shake, but those who stand tall in the storm discover their true strength. This is the time to understand that power is not only held by governments and leaders, it is also held by people who refuse to surrender their voice, their dignity, and their vision. The shock may be real, the impact may be heavy, but it can also be the spark that drives a stronger, more united force of resilience. Out of disruption comes the birth of unstoppable determination, and out of fear rises a new wave of courage. Every dream carries a story of sacrifice, of leaving behind comfort zones, of daring to chase something bigger. For millions, that story began with stepping onto new soil, fueled by the promise of opportunity. Years of effort, sweat, and determination built careers, raised families, and created lives that reflected the essence of possibility. And now, in one sweeping moment, that story feels like it's being rewritten by forces beyond control. When the ground of stability begins to crack, it's not just about losing jobs or visas. It's about losing a sense of belonging. It's about the parents who worked late into the night so their children could attend the best schools. It's about the young professionals who burned countless hours of energy to rise in industries that define the future. It's about the small business owners who bet everything on the belief that hard work would always pay off. Every one of these people now faces the weight of a question. What if it all disappears? That question doesn't just haunt the individual, it ripples across families, friendships, and entire communities. Children who grew up reciting the Pledge of Allegiance now ask their parents why their future is uncertain. Professionals who spent decades proving their worth suddenly feel as though they are invisible. The pain lies not only in the possibility of losing material success, but in the fear of losing dignity, identity, and the right to dream without limits. But here's the defining truth. Threats do not destroy dreams unless people allow them to. Yes, the uncertainty is real. Yes, the challenges are heavy, but dreams are not fragile. They are forged in fire. They survive setbacks, they rise above rejections, they defy limitations. History is full of examples where entire communities faced doors being slammed in their faces, only to build greater doors of their own. So while fear may whisper that everything is at risk, courage roars back with the reminder that no external force can erase the will to achieve. The dream may be under attack, but it is not defeated. Every challenge is an invitation to dig deeper, to rise higher, and to prove that what was built with sacrifice cannot be torn down by policy alone. This is the moment where the strength of vision is tested, and only those who refuse to give in will discover the unstoppable force that lives within them. Identity is more than a label, more than a passport, more than a document. It is the unshakable force that defines who we are, where we come from, and what we contribute to the world. For millions, their identity has never been confined to a single country's borders. It is carried in their traditions, in their values, in their relentless pursuit of excellence. And no policy, no rule, no decree can erase that truth. Think of the impact of this identity across every corner of society. In medicine, where countless lives are saved daily by skilled hands and brilliant minds. In technology, where innovations have shaped the very backbone of America's digital age. In education, where professors and researchers mold young leaders of tomorrow. In entrepreneurship, where small businesses grow into industries that fuel the economy. These contributions are not accidents. They are the reflection of an identity rooted in discipline, vision, and the belief that success is earned. Yet when external forces attempt to reduce people to numbers, visas, or statistics, they forget that identity cannot be measured in paperwork. It is lived every single day. It is the late nights at the office, the early mornings at the hospital, the weekends sacrificed to create something meaningful. It is the determination to prove that borders may separate nations, but human potential knows no limits. Challenges may attempt to weaken the sense of belonging, but identity only grows stronger under pressure. When people are told they don't belong, they respond by excelling beyond expectation. When they are told they are replaceable, they show that their absence would leave a void no one else can fill. This is the undeniable truth. Contributions rooted in identity are woven into the very fabric of a nation. So the question becomes not whether identity can survive uncertainty. It always does. The real question is how people will use it as fuel. Will they shrink back and accept the labels imposed on them? Or will they rise and declare through their actions that no rule can define their worth? True power lies not in documents or decisions, but in the unbreakable spirit of identity. A spirit that history has shown time and again can transform adversity into unstoppable triumph. Every generation faces a moment when the ground beneath them begins to shake, when everything they built feels like it could collapse. In those moments, the difference between those who crumble and those who rise comes down to one thing: the ability to adapt, to push through, to turn crisis into fuel. This is the defining line between those who get swallowed by uncertainty and those who emerge stronger than ever before. Adversity has a way of stripping away comfort and exposing the core of who we really are. When security is shaken, when plans fall apart, when the future feels like it's hanging by a thread, this is when character is tested. And it is in that fire that true strength is forged. The world does not remember the people who gave up when times got hard. It remembers the ones who stood tall, even when everything around them tried to bring them down. History proves this again and again. Communities that were forced to leave their homelands rebuilt thriving neighborhoods elsewhere. Innovators who faced rejection used it as the spark that drove breakthroughs. Leaders who stood at the edge of disaster found a way to carve a new path not just for themselves, but for generations that followed. The lesson is clear: hardship is not the end, it is the training ground for greatness. This moment is no different. Yes, uncertainty brings fear. Yes, change can feel like a storm tearing through stability, but storms also clear the ground for new growth. They wash away weakness and reveal the strength hidden within. When individuals and communities refuse to bow down to fear, they tap into a deeper power, one that no external rule or decree can ever control. The question is not whether challenges will come, they always do. The real question is how we will respond when they arrive. Will we let fear chain us, or will we rise with the certainty that nothing can break the human spirit? Every crisis carries within it a seed of possibility. And those who choose to nurture that seed will discover that they were never victims of circumstance. They were always warriors in the making. When people stand divided, they are easy to silence, easy to dismiss, and easy to push aside. But when voices come together, when individuals rise as one, the noise becomes too loud to ignore, the presence too strong to erase, and the power too great to suppress. Strength is not only in numbers, it is in the bond that turns numbers into an unshakable force. For too long, individuals have been taught to focus on their own survival, on building their careers, protecting their families, and securing their futures. And while that drive creates progress, it can also lead to isolation. But when an entire community faces the same uncertainty, the same threat, the same looming storm, the answer cannot be isolation. The answer must be connection. The answer must be collective courage. Every movement that ever changed history began with people realizing they were not alone. It began with neighbors supporting neighbors, families standing beside families, and strangers recognizing that they shared the same struggle, and therefore the same fight. Division breeds weakness, but unity creates momentum, and momentum builds unstoppable change. This is the moment to rise above fear and competition and recognize the power of standing together, to speak with one voice, to act with one purpose, and to refuse to be reduced to silence. When one person feels threatened, everyone feels it. When one dream is endangered, every dream is at stake. And when one group is targeted, the collective must rally, not in whispers, but in a roar that shakes the foundations of any policy or system that tries to break them. The truth is, no wall is too high, no rule too rigid, no challenge too great when people unite with clarity of vision and strength of purpose. The bonds of community cannot be torn apart by fear, because fear dissolves when people know they are not standing alone. It is in that togetherness that resilience transforms into revolution and vulnerability transforms into victory. This is more than survival, it is a declaration. A declaration that no matter what uncertainty lies ahead, the collective voice will rise, the collective willpower will endure, and the collective spirit will build a future that no one can take away. Every ending carries within it the seed of a beginning. What feels like a door closing is often the moment another door swings wide open, revealing possibilities that were invisible before. Change, no matter how unsettling, is not just about what is lost. It is about what can be created from the ashes of uncertainty. The truth is, history has always favored those who adapt, who refuse to stand still, who take disruption and turn it into reinvention. Every challenge is an invitation to discover new paths, new strategies, and new horizons. When familiar systems are shaken, it forces people to dig deeper, to innovate, and to redefine what success really means. What once seemed like the only route becomes just one of many, and new routes often lead to greater heights than ever imagined. Think about it. Communities once bound by limits went on to build thriving networks around the globe. Families that faced rejection transformed that pain into motivation to achieve more than anyone thought possible. Entrepreneurs who were denied opportunities in one place created industries elsewhere that reshaped entire economies. Again and again, adversity proved to be the spark for reinvention. This moment is no different. The uncertainty may feel heavy, but it also holds within it limitless potential. It is the call to stop depending solely on external systems and instead focus on building inner strength, unshakable skills, and unstoppable determination. It is the time to diversify, to innovate, to forge connections that transcend borders. It is the chance to build something so strong that no single decision, no single policy, no single leader can ever erase it. The road ahead is not about clinging to what was, but about boldly stepping into what can be. It demands vision. It demands courage. It demands the willingness to see opportunity where others only see obstacles. For those who accept that challenge, the future is not a threat. It is a promise. So while the past may feel uncertain and the present may feel unstable, the horizon remains wide open. What comes next is not defined by fear or by limits. It is defined by those who choose to rise, to lead, and to create a destiny larger than anything that has been taken away.